Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Amber Unfiltered. Today I'm going to do my review of Obsession, but before I do that, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, if you want to cash at me at Amber Unfiltered Show, that'd be greatly appreciated. Sorry if you hear some flushing in the background. My husband decided it was a smart idea, a great idea, to go use the bathroom as soon as I started recording. Of course, that's how married life be. That's why I got my door closed, because I was like trying to, do noise control, I guess. So to be for real with you, I did not want to see this movie. I kept hearing about it. I kept hearing how great it was. And I remember seeing the trailer and I was like, this doesn't feel like horror to me. This doesn't scream horror. But I realized that sometimes horror can be more subtle or a little bit more understated, and it doesn't always immediately mean other dimensions, other entities. Sometimes it's horror from within, from your friend group. It could be some trauma you're experiencing, other things. Or other situations. So I was like, So the other day, I'm giving y'all the tea or the backstory about why I decided to give it a chance. So I was texting one of my brothers, on Friday, and I was like, what's tea? What are you guys doing? And he was like, we're about to go to the movies. And I was like, oh, bet. And I was like, what are you going to see? He said Obsession. When he came back, he was ranting and raving. He said he loved it. He was like, oh my gosh, I'm over the moon about this movie. There's a scene I keep thinking about. He was like, you got to go see it so we can talk about it. And I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna go. I was like, you convinced me. You converted me. I'm a believer now. So I was like, okay. So I kind of already had I feel like I'm pretty good at figuring out if a movie is good or not, or if it's going to resonate with me or not. Sometimes I just get little inklings, or like my intuition be like, no, yay, nay, whatever the case may be. So I was like, I'm going to go in with an open mind. I've seen the trailer once or twice, but I think I read like one or two articles. So I did know a couple of spoilers. I remembered some, but I was like, whatever. But I really didn't know too much about this movie. I know who Curry Barker is. For those of you who don't know, that's the director of this movie. This is his directorial debut on the big screen, on the silver screen, but he's been making content before this. He started out as a comedian, I think like a sketch comedian, and he has a lot of skits and content online, like especially on YouTube. But I remember watching this horror short film he did called The Chair like a couple years ago, and I was like, bitch, this is unsettling. So then I was like, I had kept hearing his name and I knew he was coming out with this, so I was keeping an eye out for it. I love horror. Like I said, I'm a huge horror head, and I'm like making it my mission to go out and support more horror in cinema, especially opening week, because we really want to run up those numbers, and we want to give more horror creatives like the opportunity to come and create and get these big deals, and work with these big studios, because these stories do need to be told. Horror is a very important storytelling mechanism and medium, but also an important genre. It resonates with a lot of people. So I was like, okay, fine. So I bought a ticket I think yesterday. Was it last night? I don't remember when I bought it. But I also got the Regal app so I could get points and stuff. Girl, you get like 100 points for every dollar you spend. I got like almost 10K points already because I bought 3 tickets for Backrooms for me and my husband and my brother-in-law. We're going to go see that joint next Saturday. So I was like, oh, bet. But anyway, my brother was ranting and raving, told me to go see this. I said, all right, fine, I'm gonna go see it. So I just came back from the theater, so this is fresh, but I'm also old, so I have to be forgetting stuff. So let's get into the review. So personally, this is probably gonna be really controversial. I actually liked Hokum better, and Hokum wasn't perfect, but for some reason, that was a little bit more unsettling than this in some regards. And I think I liked the darkness of Hokum. I think I liked the somberness of it. I don't know, the tone and Obsession, it was kind of hard for me to pick up on as a viewer. I was like, okay, where is this going? What message is the director sending? But I do also think I'm gonna give it grace and say that Obsession is a movie that has to sink into your psyche. You have to kind of let it marinate. I definitely feel like that, because I kind of walked out of the theater like, what the fuck did I just watch? And I kind of feel like I had the same reaction with Hokum. But anyway, again, let's get back to the movie. So it actually came out last year, but they did a wide release this year. I think the release date was last week, May 15th. So it runs at 1 hour and 49 minutes. Let's talk about the cast. I don't really know the cast like that. Hold on, my computer is having a stroke. Let me see, let me do cast. So we have, is it Indy Navarrete? I don't know if I'm saying her name right, who plays Nikki. We have Cooper Tomlinson, who plays Ian, who's the best friend to the main character, Bear, who's played by Michael Johnston. Megan Lawless plays Sarah. We've got some other actors and actresses in here. I'm not gonna spend too much time on them, but shout out to them. As I said earlier, it's directed by Curry Barker. I think Blumhouse helped produce this, and if you know Blumhouse, they're huge in the horror space. Let's see. Oh, the budget was 1 million. That's actually a pretty small budget. That actually reminds me of Get Out's budget was Get Out. I think Get Out might have been like 500K or something like that. And this is rated R. So let's get into the tea. So it says Obsession is a 2025 American supernatural horror film written, directed, and edited by Curry Barker. The film follows Baron, Bear Bailey, a music store employee who buys a supernatural toy that grants him his wish for his childhood friend Nikki to fall in love with him, resulting in horrifying consequences. Cooper Tomlinson, Megan Lawless, and Andy Richter also appear in supporting roles. So yes, it says Obsession premiered at the TIFF, or the Toronto International Film Festival, on September 5th. That is a huge dream of mine. I really want to go to a film festival, and I actually was eyeing this one, but I was like, baby, I'm poor, so maybe another time. So it premiered there as part of its Midnight Madness section. And I remember hearing so much buzz about this movie. So I had been knowing about this movie for a while because I told you I'm up on my movies. I read a lot. I'm always reading interviews. I'm always listening to interviews, scoping out new movies. Like sometimes I'll just Google like what's movies coming out this year. It said it had a theatrical release in the US on May 15th by Focus Features. The film received positive reviews and has grossed 80 mil worldwide. That's really good for horror. He made 80 times his budget. That's actually really, really good. He definitely more than broke even. Okay, so let's get into the plot. So it says Baron Bear Bailey has romantic feelings for his childhood friend Nikki Freeman. Again, he works with her. They also work with their friends Ian and Sarah's dad owns the store, the music store that they all work in. So the opening scene, if I remember correctly, he's sitting down with this gorgeous girl, and I'm thinking it's the girl that he's into, but then I was like, I think he's prepping to tell Nikki that he has feelings for her and he wants to take it to the next level. And that's a good point I think that this movie makes, is like the friend zone. Like sometimes you need to stay in that friend zone. Sometimes when you cross that boundary, bad consequences do happen. I can give you a quick story time. So a long time ago, 800 million years ago, before the dinosaurs were extinct, just kidding. But way back when, before I even met my husband, before I even knew I wanted to get married, all the things, I had a guy friend. I'm not going to say his name, but shout out to him. I had a guy friend who I was really close with. He was like a brother to me. And the crazy part was he was actually best friends with my brother too. So, like one of those friends you just kind of adopt because they're always around. They're always spending the night. They're always just kind of in the mix and they become a part of your family. So we had a really close relationship. Like he was really close with both of us. And I've never told my brother this, by the way, either. He's probably going to know who I'm talking about if he ever watches this. But anyway, now the cat's out of the bag, no pun intended. And there's something with the cat later that I'm going to tell you guys about. That was so insane. I probably should have prefaced the video with there's going to be mad spoilers. So if you plan on watching it, pause it and come back. If you don't care and you want to hear the spoilers or you're not seeing the movie, keep watching. So I had this guy friend. Again, me and my brother shared this friend. And a lot of my brother's friends I was friends with a lot of guys when I was younger. I didn't really have a lot of girlfriends like that. So I forgot what happened. I had always kind of liked him, but I just kept it in the friend zone. And then it was kind of like he would have somebody, then I would have somebody. And then it was just kind of like this little weird dance we would do. And it was like, I'm your sister, I'm your big sis. So it's like kind of weird. And I remember, like on Facebook when they're like, oh, what's a secret you've always wanted to tell me? And you DM the person. So I remember, I think something like that happened. Was I a senior? It might have been actually after we graduated. Sorry, I can't talk. And so he was like, I liked you. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I had feelings for you. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, bro, me too. But I was like, I didn't know how to say that to you. And so then we kind of started talking, we were texting, and it got a little bit more flirtatious. It wasn't overly, but it kind of got a little bit out of the friend zone. And he lived very close to me, walking distance. We were always together. People used to already think that we were together just because of how close, literally physically. It was almost like the couple in the movie now that I think about it. He was the only guy that could spend the night at my house. We could be in the same bed, the same room, and my parents wouldn't care. And if Black parents, they don't play that shit. But he was family, so it just never registered that. And they might have known that we liked each other, but it was never oh, he can't. But he was always with it was almost incestuous a little bit if I think about it. Now I'm surprised my parents didn't beat my ass, but he just had that type of relationship with my parents. So I remember one day he was come through, and I went to where he lived. He lived in an apartment complex, and we lived in a townhouse or something with my dad's girlfriend. So I remember I walked in, girl, it was snowing. I said, this man had me out here walking in the snow, but you think you in love or whatever. So I came by, I think before he went to work or something. I forgot what he was doing and what I was doing. And I remember as we were leaving, he like pulled me into him and we kissed. And I was like kind of shocked because I didn't expect that. And two, I knew he was kind of flirtatious. I don't want to call him an outright hoe, but I knew he wasn't like really committed to anyone, but you know how guys just younger, they're just kind of playing the field, just kind of talking to different people. I kind of knew that he was doing that. And I was like, I don't want to just be like a number to you. Like if we're going to take this seriously or go the next step or get out of that friend zone, I feel like you should, be a little more serious, and maybe you can either cut those people off when the time is right, or we're going to figure out what we're going to do and then you make that call later. Like I'm not going to force you, but that would be ideal, because once I'm into someone, I lock in with them. I don't talk to anybody else. I don't look at anybody else. Like Libras are very loyal. Like if you show us that you're committed and you're in it, we're in it for the long haul. But I remember it just seemed random. It just seemed like I didn't get like the warm and fuzzies. It was so weird because I was like, I know I like you, but the chemistry didn't like zing. And then it just was weird after that. And he was like partying, he was like smoking weed, he was just like out with different girls. And I was like, bro, I'm not about to go back and forth with you. Like, I know I'm not your girlfriend, but you're telling me you have feelings and then you're doing things that, and then after a while, we just fought so much. We just argued so much. And if you knew us from before we crossed that line, we never had a fight. Like it was just always chill. Like he would just come over, we just watch TV. I'd like make him food. He'd like bring me stuff. Like it was just a mutual love of each other. And I really think we should have stayed friends. Now that I'm 31, ooh girl, I had to think about that. I was like, the little scrolly bar when it'd be like, how old are you? How old is you? But I was like, okay, but now looking back, I'm like, I should have just stayed friends. I should have just not crossed that line. I should have just kept the friendship, because our friendship was never quite the same after that. So we were arguing. It was like we were in a relationship, but we weren't. And we'd be good. When we were good, we were good. When we were bad, we were bad. And there's a reason why I'm bringing this up. And then he just became a wild boy. Actually, he reminded me a lot of my dad. And I was like, I got to get the fuck out of Dodge. Because my dad had a period like that after him and my mom split up. Like they got divorced. Like my dad was just a wild boy. He was just out partying. He was out with bitches. He was doing his thing. And I'm like, listen, you're a grown ass man. You could do what you want to do. Just take care of your responsibilities at home, which he was trying his best to. But he reminded me of my dad. And that was very red flaggish behavior. And I was like, I know how this song and dance goes. So I'm just going to leave. And for a while we just like didn't talk, and then when we did talk, it was just awkward. Like it just never. And now like I barely hear from him, I barely talk to him, and I thought this would be a person that would be in my life forever. And I just think we're on different life paths, and that's fine. But also I should have been more adamant about sticking to the boundary, because it's like if the relationship or the crossing of that friend zone didn't happen before the time it probably wasn't meant to be. You know what I'm saying? And I think that was a hard lesson for me to learn when I was younger, because that happened quite a few times with a couple of my other guy friends where it crossed that line, and then once you cross it, you can't uncross it. And the movie does a really great job of talking about that, and like respecting when someone is just like, hey, I thought I liked you, I thought I wanted to explore it, let's just go back to being friends. But you really can't, because if certain things happen, it just tarnishes the relationship in a way that's like, the damage is irreversible. The damage is done. So anyway, I know I just went off, but I just really thought about that as I was, getting this out with you guys. So anyway, so he's at the diner. He's with one of his guy friends, Ian. He's like a frat bro type. And he's sitting down with this waitress. We don't see it, but it's one of the waitresses there. And he's like explaining how deeply he feels for her, how like the world, the sun, the moon, and the stars revolve around Nikki. Basically, he sees his whole life basically with her, and his friend is ragging on him. He's like, dude, don't just dump it all on her. You got to ease into it. He's like, you got to flirt a little bit, be mean to her, do that playful flirtation, like that reverse psychology flirtation. And he's like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. And the waitress is like, no, that's lovely. Like, I would love if a man came and stepped to me like that. And his friend is like, don't be doing too much. So it's like he's getting mixed signals. But I think the biggest issue I had with Bear's character is he wasn't confident. And as a result of that lack of confidence, it caused him to make decisions a sound and confident person would not make. He didn't have a healthy sense of self, and he didn't have a healthy sense of self-esteem. And I do think that was a great message to talk about, because a lot of us are like that when we're dating, especially early on, especially teenage years, especially in our 20s. We don't really know what we're doing, and we really don't have we're not secure in ourselves, and a lot of us are repeating what our parents did or examples around us, like maybe family, maybe friends, like aunts, uncles, school or classmates. Like, you don't really know. It's just a lot of experimentation until you figure out, okay, this is what I will accept and this is what I won't accept. So then Bear goes home and he sees that his cat Sandy is dead. And it's interesting, Bear is actually living in his dead grandmother's house. I don't know if she died in the house, but she's not alive, because he opens a medicine cabinet and there's a thing that says Barbara Bailey. And I'm like, his name is Bear, so who the fuck is Barbara? But I also wondered if he had a little bit of grief from maybe the grandma dying and being in a place that a deceased person used to exist. It's like he's just going through the motions. He really doesn't have a lot going on in his life, and he's not secure. He doesn't know what he wants to do. He doesn't know who he wants to be. So the cat is dead, and I just found that like almost like a foreshadowing. Oh yeah, it is a foreshadowing because of what happens at the end. Oh shit, I just thought about that. Okay, and you'll figure out why later. So he goes, I think the cat got into a bottle of Oxy and accidentally ate it, and that's how the cat died. So then is it that night? I think that, yeah, he like gets into bed. He's supposed to be going to trivia with his friends, and he's like really good at trivia. And I realize a lot of white people like trivia. Don't sleep on that. If you ever go to trivia, go with white people because they know what they're doing, okay? My brother-in-law actually hosts one like every 2 weeks on Wednesday, and white people do not play about trivia, especially when they drunk. They be worse when they drunk. When they get some beers in them, I'll be like, ooh, not rooted and tooted and booted. But anyway, so he like is getting in the bed, he's like winding down, and then Nikki calls, and he's just like, and that's another thing. He's such a pushover. He doesn't have boundaries with anybody in his life, and he doesn't have boundaries within himself. And I see that being a theme or a motif or a pattern that keeps repeating out the movie, boundaries or the lack thereof. And I think boundaries are very important in any relationship, especially romantic, whether it's a situationship, friends with benefits, whatever you want to call it, a committed relationship, whatever, marriage. You need to have boundaries. So Nikki calls and she's like, she's like, so when are you coming out for trivia? And he's like, bro, I'm not coming. And she's like, why? And he's like, I've got stuff to do. But really, he's grieving, but he doesn't know how to communicate that. That's another thing. He's like the suffer in silence type. And it's like, he needs to learn how to articulate his emotions. But I do realize a lot of men they're not really given the space and grace to really do that. So it makes sense as to why he sucks it in. Because I remember me and my husband were watching Fury with Brad Pitt, Logan Lerman, and Michael Pena, and oh my God, there's another Shia LaBeouf yesterday. And there was a scene in that movie where one of the characters saw something really traumatic, because it's like a war movie, a war epic. And I was like, how do you process that? And my husband was like, you don't. He was like, you just tuck it away and just keep moving on. But I was like, what does that do to somebody? If you're just tucking away all the trauma, you're not really addressing it. At some point, it's going to resurface. And I think horror does a great job of explaining that or displaying that. Show, not tell, or show and tell. So Nikki somehow, instead of telling her that the cat died, she lures him out and he goes to trivia despite his better judgment. And this funny. So he's sitting at the table with their two friends, Sarah and Ian, and Nikki. And Nikki's cute. They're all like pretty attractive. So Bear and Ian are doing this like, doing all that. And Ian's like, don't do it tonight at trivia. He's like, do it at a different time. He's like, wait for the right time. And that's another thing. Bear was very impatient. It's like, you don't waited all this time to tell her, so you might as well just wait a little bit longer and maybe plan something and maybe be more intentional. To me as a woman, when a man shows effort and has really good intention, that's going to make me more drawn to him, and that's going to make me more committed and want to do those extra things for him. But Bear was impatient, and I think that's one of his biggest flaws besides the pushoverness. And I know that's not a word, but so they're sitting at the table and they're kind of mouthing back and forth while the girls are talking like, oh, I'm going to do it tonight. And he's like, no, bro, like abort mission X. So then I think Nikki's like, I'm going to go get us some shots. And Bear's like, I'm going to come with you. So he's going to try to use this opportunity at a bar where it's loud, where they're about to do trivia. It's about to be very engaging and exciting. I'm like, that wasn't the right time. I agree with his friend. He should have pulled her to the side, maybe after or maybe a different day, because they actually work together too. So maybe when they're closing up, maybe it's just the two of them. He could tell her then, or be like, do something cute at the shop, like maybe have like a little music session, a little jam session. Like there were so many ways he could have played that, and he just didn't. And I think he just didn't have any game. Like that, sometimes guys just don't have game, and it's not really their fault. my husband made a good point too. Years ago, he used to tell me like guys don't really get compliments and guys don't really get hit on. It's usually the opposite. Women have an easier time. And I was like, that is very true. So if you don't have that life experience, if you've been rejected or you're not really the type of man, or person to really go up to someone, it can be intimidating and it can be very scary to put your heart on the line. That is terrifying. And even me, like I've gotten rejected in the past way, way long time ago. I remember I went up to this guy in a freaking Hot Topic store and I thought he was so cute, thought he was so fun. And I went up to him and I told him that. And I was like, can I get your number? And he said, yes. I got his number, text him. He never hit me back. And I was just like, okay, it is what it is. But I just kept trying because I was like, the worst someone can say is no, or fuck you, bitch. I don't know. So he's trying to like ask her out and like there's just interruptions. Like maybe the bartender comes up or their friends come up. Like it's just not the right time. So anyways, and I think when he was on the phone with Nikki, she lost her crystal necklace. It like fell down the drain. So he goes to like this mystic crystal ball type shop and he buys a One Wish willow. So basically it's a toy from back in the day, like the 70s. It's like a little weeping willow stick. It almost reminded me like a Harry Potter one. I hope Harry Potter fans don't come for my neck, but it kind of just gave like Harry Potter tease to me. And basically you're supposed to split it in half and you make a wish and that wish comes true. These joints were going for $7. I didn't really like that, but I was like, I understand where they're going with this. I was like, I wonder how the director figured that out. So, anyway, so I don't know if it was that night of the trivia or was it a different night? I can't remember that part. So Bear, I think it might have been the trivia night. So Bear, no. Yeah. Bear drops Nikki off at her house because I don't think she has a car. So she either usually goes with Sarah and Ian or she'll go with Bear. So Bear's like, I'll take you because they all wanted to like go bar hop. They wanted to get shit faced. They wanted to go do karaoke. And Bear's like, I'm good. Nikki's like, I'm good. So Bear's like, I'll take you home. And this is his window again. See, this is good timing, but it's like he has to execute and he has a hard time executing and communicating his feelings. So also I'm in a rush for time because I'm supposed to be meeting my mom for lunch at 1:30. She done pushed it back to 2, but I'm like, girl, I'm gonna take my time because Black moms always be late to everything. Like she texted me at like 11 or 12 and was like, I'm running behind. I'm like, girl, we not supposed to be meeting for a couple of hours. What you mean? But anyway, so I might be rushing, but I'm like, if I'm late, I really don't care because it's only 25 minutes away. We're going to Texas Roadhouse, baby. So anyway, he's dropping her off and then she gets out the car and they keep having this banter back and forth. She'll like bend down and like talk through the window to him. And she's like, do you like me, Bear? And he says, no. I was like, you should have just said yes. It's like, he's just so scared. It's like the words are sitting on the tip of his tongue, but he's just so scared to get them out. And I was like, that can be really terrifying because if you get rejected, now you may have ruined your friendship. Like I said earlier in the video, I tried to go out of the friend zone with one of my really close friends. Like this guy was like my brother, like literally for a very long time. And I should have just stayed in the friend zone. But anyway, so he's like beating himself up after she leaves because he's like, fuck, I had an opportunity and I fucked it up. And I wondered if she liked him back or I wondered if she would have let him confess his feelings and just been like, Bear, I don't feel that way. But then it's like, what do you do? Because you don't want to hurt that person. Remember that show on MTV, Friend Zone? I used to love that show where like best friends or close friends would go and they would pretend that they were on a dating show or something for something else, but really it was to reveal that they had feelings. I remember there was this one couple, I actually tried to find them online. Barrington, it was this tall black guy. He looked like might have been mixed. He was tall, he was athletic, he was so cute. And this like short, thick white girl, I forgot her name. I feel like it started with a C. And oh my God, the way she was like, do you want to go on this date with me? And he was like, basically, I've been in love with you this whole time. It was so cute. Oh my God. But anyway, see me getting off topic. So Bear is just like beside himself. So he reaches in the fucking back seat and gets the fucking One Wish willow. And he's like, I want Nikki to love me more than anybody in the world. Why? She comes back and she's like, well, can I sleep at your house? She's literally trying any and everything to be with him. And I was like, that should have been a red flag. And that should have been an indicator that the One Wish willow worked and that you needed to get the fuck out of Dodge because your life was in danger. So she's like, it was weird. Her facial expression and her range is so fucking good. And it's so creepy. This movie actually wasn't scary to me. It was scary the lengths that the girl Nikki went to, but it was just creepy and unsettling more than anything. I didn't feel horrified, but I did feel unsettled. And I just was like, she took it to hell, okay? Sub hell, okay? So she's like, my cat died. And he's like, no, bitch, my cat died. She's like, right. It's like she's not even in her body. It's like something else has taken over her body. So then she's like, my father's dying of cancer. I don't want to be alone. I want to just be with someone else. And she's manipulative. She uses that to get in. And I'm just like, oh, but there are people like that. They'll manipulate you and lie about situations that don't even exist. And people like that fucking scare me, okay? I've been watching a lot of cult docs, a lot of murder docs, a lot of like psychologically involved docs. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Actually, I just put in a request at my new school to minor in psychology because I'm very fascinated by people's behavior. I'm like, what makes people do this shit? But it's like, the signs are all similar with, that's a whole other video. I actually plan to do a video about cults and just my little obsession with them because I don't know if you guys knew that. So then they're getting ready for bed and Bear's like, you can have my bed. I'll like sleep on the couch. I'll sleep on the floor, what have you. And she's like, no, just like come to bed with me. And she takes her shirt off. She's got her titties out. I'm just like, okay, friend. And he's just standing there in his like shirt and his pajamas. And he's laying in the bed and he's just like stiff like a fucking plank. I'm like, Bear, this is your time, brother. Like now or never, okay? Like the Halsey song. So then they start kissing, they start making out. And then she just screams and fucking pushes him off. And I'm like, it's like she snaps, like almost like the One Wish Willow. It's like two different people. And he's like, what the fuck? Like he's thinking that she's screaming bloody murder because he heard her, but he's like, this seemed consensual at first. And that's another great theme that the movie explores is consent, because he did something without her consent. He did something without her permission. He basically almost cursed this lady, in my opinion. He made her fall in love with him, but it wasn't under authentic or genuine circumstances. And this causes her to act outside of her normal character. And she's pushing her body and she's pushing her heart and she's pushing her mind beyond its limits. And I think that it's just such a great thing to explore, especially in the horror space. So then she's just like, is this the scene where she stands in a corner? Bro, I don't remember. So anyway, the next morning he wakes up, bro. And I forgot to tell you, when the cat died, he had put it in a trash bag and I think threw it outside. And I was like, why the fuck would you put your cat in a trash bag? I was like, you're not going to pour one out for the dead homies? I was like, you're not going to dig up a hole. You're not going to take it to the vet, get it cremated or something like that. I was like, if that was my dog, he's never dying in my mind. But I was like, if that was Stan, like, bro, I'm doing a whole ceremony for him. The fuck you thought? We had a couple of family dogs on my husband's side that passed. We did like a whole thing for them. I think my husband's family's dog, her name was Sasha, rest her soul. I think she got cancer. So we like rode her around in a wagon. We brought all the family dogs. She got like steak. Like we sent my sister out well. Like we made sure that dog was on point. I was like, I'm doing the same thing for my dog. Fuck you thought. But white people love their dogs. White people love their dogs more than they like people. I'm gonna just say that. So why the next morning, there's breakfast on the table, and it's weird. Nikki will have an episode or a break, a psychotic break, and then she'll just go back to normal. And it's so creepy. That's the creepiest part, because she'll go from, and like immediately, and you're just like, oh my God, like this is uncomfortable. So the next morning he wakes up, sees the breakfast on the table. He's like, all right, everything's straight. And he goes to sit down. While he go in the kitchen, there's a fucking memorial on the floor of the cat. She didn't pull the cat out of the trash bag, put like a whole little shrine, like candles and a card. I was like, that is not normal. And shout out to the white boy that was sitting next to me. He was talking just as much as I was, but it was just like a lot of, oh shit, or what the fuck? Like it was just mostly that the entire time, just us ping ponging and his friend next to him. I was so weak. But he's just like, don't do that, bitch. Like, this is not normal. So she's like, I was on drugs yesterday. I was on like MDMA. And, I've been having feelings for you. And he's like, well, how long you have feelings? She's like, oh, since Christmas. And then it just kind of snowballed, no pun intended. And so they've become like one. They're like so intertwined, literally. It's like she is in that man's skin. Like I thought my husband was in my skin. No, Nikki is in that man's skin. Like she is like, I'm going where you going. We go together like real bad, forever, together forever. I was like, oh my God. So it actually, you know what it kind of reminded me of? The couple from Something Very Bad Is Gonna Happen on Netflix. I actually really enjoyed that show. There was some stuff that I was like, okay, this is bullshit. This doesn't make sense. Maybe I need to do a video on it. But just so intertwined. I think that couple in Something Very Bad Is Going to Happen was so intertwined until everything around them threatened to break them apart. So Ian and Sarah are like, what the fuck? Y'all been homies forever. Like, this is fucking up the flow of our friend group. This is fucking up the dynamic. But we just get a montage of like, Nikki and Bear just doing all the coupley things. You know, you're playing music together, you're eating together, cooking in the kitchen, you know, just lovey-dovey things, going out to eat. Bro, there's this fucking wild scene where they're out to eat at a restaurant. They're having a good time. I forget what the conversation was. And then Ian calls in the middle of the date. So he calls one time, Bear looks at it, flips the phone over, and he's like, all right, I'm locked into what my girl's saying. Ian calls again. He's like, he's called twice. Now I got to pick this up. This shit was so creepy. I was like, what the fuck? So he gets up to take the phone. He like goes a little bit down like the walkway, and then he's like around the corner. Why all of a sudden we just see homegirl. She's just standing in the back lurking. I was like, no, bitch. So Ian's like, bitch, I did some digging. Her dad don't have cancer. He's not in the hospital that she said he was in. He's healthy as a horse. And she also has an estranged relationship with her dad. So it's like, she probably wouldn't even know that if you're not even talking to your parent. And then he's like, something in the milk ain't clean. And Bear is like fucking horrified because he's like, I think the one wish Willow is like, she's doing all the things to get me, to lure me in, to make me love her as much as what was I gonna say? To make her love me as much as I love her. And so it was just so creepy. So then I think they both sit back down, or she had already sat down before he came back to the table. They sit down and he tries to confront her about the lie she told. Bro, why does she like go full-blown psycho in the middle of the restaurant? She's like, don't do that. And she's like getting louder and louder and louder. And she like stands up and she has this creepy like, oh my God, it was so fucking creepy. It almost reminded me of Georgina in Get Out when she was like, no, 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 no. But it's just like, how do actors do that? And Georgina, I was gonna say Regina George. Georgina had that tear coming down her face, and then it just, her face just like the darkness. I was like, how do actors do that? Like, shout out to your acting coaches. Shout out to all them years that you put in, because that shit is not easy. But she's just screaming at the fucking top of her lungs, and he's like, bitch, sit down. Like, we gotta turn this shit to go, like a black mama who about to snatch you up, you know? So it's just so creepy. So then some other stuff happens, and okay, I need to tell y'all about this one scene. I keep saying I'm gonna tell y'all. Oh my God, I'm gonna be late. I don't even give a fuck. I love you guys so much. I don't even give a fuck about being late for lunch with my mom. So there's one scene where they're asleep. Bro. I think my heart dropped. When I watch a really good scene in horror, I actually cry because I'm like, I can't believe my fucking eyeballs, bitch. So they're in the bed. But actually, let me rephrase that. Bear is in the bed. They're supposed to both be sleeping. He wakes up. This bitch isn't in the bed. The way the camera like sweeps the room and you're trying to figure out where this bitch is at. And my brother actually texted me one thing. He was like, just pay attention to the lighting in this movie. And he's actually correct. Like, wait, before I talk about the scene, I'm gonna tell you about this other scene real quick because I completely forgot. After, I think it was like the first night she spent the night or something, he was like, you know, you should go home. And no. It was the next night. So she spent the night. They all went to work, them and their friends. And he was like, I can't take you home today. And she's like, that's fine. I'm going home with Sarah and Ian. She goes home, she changes, and she comes over in this like cute red dress. But the fucking lighting was so creepy. It made her look demonic. I almost got like Smile vibes, like the movie Smile, like the horror movie. I was like, this bitch could have been in Smile 1. Especially, it wasn't Emrata who played in that. Who was the girl? Oh, her face is so creepy. Hold on. This bitch, I'm about to show y'all. Her. The one, yes, her face. That wasn't Emrata, was it? Who's the cast? I gotta look. Her face scared the shit out of me. I don't think it was Emrata. Caitlin Stassi. Oh, is she the girl from Rain? Oh, I think she was. Okay, shout out to her. I love that show, Rain, on the CW. It's like about Queen of Scots Mary or something like that. That show is really good. The costuming and the acting are fucking phenomenal. But anyway, so that's what she kind of reminded me of. But the shadow, her face was dark, but like you could still see her silhouette. It was so fucking creepy. And she's like, well, I just want to be with you, and like, let's just be together. Like, it was so creepy. So let me go to the other scene that I was just talking about. I know I'm all over the place, so I apologize. So then the scene I'm talking about where they were in the bedroom, they were both supposed to be asleep. They weren't. So the camera sweeps around, and it's like this And the house isn't really redecorated or anything. It's like Bear kept it exactly as his grandmother had it, and that to me shows his mental state. Like, he's just kind of going through the motions of life. I almost wonder if he had like low-grade depression or like just listlessness or restlessness, like lost. He kind of just felt like a lost deer, like a deer in the headlights. Like, he just didn't know what the fuck he wanted to do with himself or anything in his life. He didn't know what to do. And I was like, where's his family? Where are his other friends? So it sweeps, but it's like green. It's like this like fern green, like, you know, like a kind of a, not dark, but like in the middle of dark and light. So it sweeps. And I'm looking, I'm like, where is this bitch at? She's in the corner blending in with some of like the boxes that his grandma had. Bro, when she came out, I don't even know how to describe how fucking creepy it was. Then there was, I think, was it the same scene? I can't fucking remember. Then there's another scene where she leaves the room and she shuffles like a fucking crab spider monkey thing. It was so fucking creepy. And she had like a fucking plant and she was like shuffling. Bro, I almost shit myself. I was like, what? It was insane. All of us were like it was just like a collective, like, and we were all like, what the fuck? Like, it was just because she just kept taking it. And then she would have the episode and she would just go back to normal. It was almost like someone with dual sides, like that Jekyll and Hyde. So then she just got back in the bed and like, okay, we're gonna cuddle. And he's like, bitch. So then the next morning he like tries to come. She's like, oh, nothing happened. I'm like, no, bitch. I was like, that's a black parent for you. You know, they beat your ass and they be like, so why you upset? And you like, I just got my ass beat, but they act like nothing happened. Like, it's like the same concept, you know? So let me keep going. I'm sorry, this is long as hell. So, oh, okay. Oh, and then also Ian, when they were at the restaurant, he had called Bear. He was like, Nikki like told me she wasn't feeling you like that. So now he's definitely wondering like, so why the fuck is she with me? But what was I gonna say? So the next morning, bro leaves for work. Bear leaves for work, and I think Nikki is off. And she duct tapes the whole fucking front door shut. But the way they reveal it was so clever to me, because they didn't just outright reveal. They have some conversation, they have some banter, and he's like, Nikki, you gotta chill out. Like, I want to be with you, but not under these circumstances. The whole fucking door is taped shut. It reminded me of Chuck in Better Call Saul with his fucking foil like allergy, or like the thing, like his preference, I guess you could say, because he claimed he had an allergy to the sun. That shit was so wild, but it kind of reminded me of that. And this bitch literally opens the door with the duct tape on it and leaves her there all day by herself. I was like, that's the worst thing you can do. And I was like, she gonna show up to the job. And she's like, do you want me to come? He's like, no. Because I think he realizes his life is in fucking danger and he knows he can't leave. And I was like, why wasn't he man enough to break up with her? And I think that's another thing that the movie does a great job of touching on. Like, sometimes we know a situation is not working for us, but we overstay our welcome. And it's like, she overstayed her welcome because he didn't have any balls and he didn't have any boundaries. But it's like, what can you do? You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And another thing is, their friend Sarah actually likes Bear, but Bear does not see her that way. But I see a little bit of chemistry between them. And there was another scene at the beginning of the movie. I think it was like right when they first get together, like after he snaps the One Wish Willow, she spends the night. He's in the back talking to Ian and she's just staring at him from the register, and the camera does a great job of showing that she's staring at him and that she's locked in. Even when she's going around the store talking to other people, working with customers, she's just, I was like, bitch, I don't like nobody that much to be doing that. But I was like, to be obsessed, that's a full-time job, and I don't got that to do. I don't fuck with too many people like that. Like, it's not my ministry, I'm sorry. But it was just, they do a very great job of like exposing the fact that she doesn't have boundaries, and the fact that Bear tries to play dumb sometimes to them, or tries to like downplay it. And it's like I said, I think I told you guys, I was on the phone with my mom yesterday. I said the most dangerous thing a woman can do is ignore her intuition. But I think the same goes for men too, because a lot of the times we ignore it. But I'm like, our intuition is just a warning, it's just protection, and we really need to lean into that, but also have discernment with situations and with people. And your body will tell you before anything else if you're in danger or not. I'm so for real on that. So I was just like, Bear, bro, you gotta do better. And it was just like, every time the stakes would get ramped, he would just stay. It was like he was like literally a deer in the headlights. Like, he was just stuck, like he couldn't get out, because it's like, you got yourself in this situation, so you need to have the perseverance and willpower to dig yourself out. But he just couldn't. So I told y'all about the cat, right? That's about to come back into play. So he and Sarah are working at the store today, and there's a scene where he's eating lunch. He's eating a sandwich she packed, and when they were at dinner in that one scene, she was like, what do you want to do with your life? And he was like, I don't know. He was like, I'll be like a fucking food critic. And they had like a little joke in that scene. So she packed his lunch. It was a sandwich. And she's like, here's to my little food critic. And he's just looking like, bitch. And there's Polaroids of him and then him and her in bed. And she's like circled his face with a heart and says like, love you. And he's looking at it in pure fucking disgust. And I'm just like, why would you even eat the sandwich? I wouldn't eat nothing this bitch packed for me because I don't know if she did a spell. I don't know if she put some coochie hair in it. I don't know. So I was like, okay. So I was like, Barry, you better than me because I would have Inspector Gadget. Like, bitch, I'm not eating that. So he's eating the sandwich. He's fucking that sandwich up. I was like, there's something in the sandwich, bro. And then she had also cut a piece of his hair. So I was like, she about to do a sacrifice or something out this motherfucker? So, what was I gonna say? So him and Sarah have a little banter, and then she like lays her head on him. He lays her head on her. And I was like, there's a little bit of affection there, but I think it's more like tender, like almost family, but it like kind of crosses the line into something else. And I was like, I bet you that bitch Nikki is lurking nearby. Why? She picks up the container with the sandwich, Sarah, and Sarah's a cutie. She's a baddie. She picks up the container and she sees on the bottom, it was like something like, what do you think, cat? Or no, because in the dining scene, he was like, my verdict is, because he was like judging the bread at the restaurant. And she was like, what's the verdict, cat? Bitch, the camera pans to his sandwich. He's eating the fucking dead cat that he buried, that she fucking unearthed and made a memorial of. The whole theater was like, bitch, like it was so crazy. I was like, she just fed this man his dead cat. I was like, this bitch is sick. I just kept saying it. I was like, she's unwell. There are actually some unwell people who probably would condone that. I was like, this bitch is not normal. So it was just like, oh my God. Like, it was so shocking. I was like, I did not expect that. So then he's like, I'm done eating. And then he fucking vomits in the trash can. He can't stop vomiting. So he drives home after the shift and he's in his car. And he calls One Wish Willow's customer support. And he's like, I want to alter my wish. I want to change it. And they're like, you can't fucking do that. You're one and done. It's like Aladdin with the genie. But instead of 3 wishes, you get 1. And he's like, well, can I cancel it? And they're like, you can put in a request. And then when he tries, they're like, you can't cancel it. And the guy is just so like nonchalant, so apathetic. He's like, well, you put her in this situation. So now it's do or die. Like, you can't opt out of this, who the fuck? I'm sorry. I got an email from somebody. I'm like, of course now I'm getting all these notifications. Nobody was fucking with me earlier in the day. So I'm like, oh my God. So he's screwed. And then they're like, do you want to talk to her? And you hear Nikki like yelling in the background. So that made me believe that she was actually possessed by an entity, even though it wasn't so outright like noticeable to me as a viewer. Her behavior was definitely, I don't even want to say demonic. It was just problematic, and it just pushed so many boundaries and crossed so many lines. So he's like, if you die, the wish expires. He's like, if Nikki dies, then the wish expires. So one of you basically has to die. There has to be some type of suffering or end to one of you for this to kind of reverse itself. So yeah, so then he opens the door and Nikki's covered in fucking vomit. She's got fucking pus and sores. I mean, she looks a mess. She's like leaking. She does kind of feel like the Smile entity, like the demonic presence in that movie. Like, it kind of gave that. And she's just standing there. She's like shit on herself. She's pissed on herself. Like, she just, maybe not shit, but it looks like she's like been dipped in pool water and just piss. Like, it's really sad. It's just like she's coming undone. She's unraveling. And I feel bad because she's not even present in her mind. Like, something else has taken over her body. This obsession, this desire. And I remember in my humanities class at Nova, my professor he gave like a module or a lesson or a lecture on obsession. And we were talking about how it can be a good thing and how it could be a bad thing. And I definitely do think it could be one or the other. I think it just depends on the manner and like how far you take something. Because an obsession, if it's not harming anybody, if it's not rocking the boat, I think it's not bad. Like, oh, I have an obsession with anime. Oh, I have an obsession with ramen noodles. Maybe you don't need to be eating them every day, but those to me aren't bad. But if you have an obsession with another person and you base your whole life and your whole happiness around them, I think that that's actually really toxic. And I think you're never going to be happy. And that's a recipe for disaster. But that's just me. So what was I going to say? So Ian, there's a scene where Ian's like, oh, I think he's in the car with Bear and he's like, bro, I need to talk to you about your relationship. Like, it's not healthy, bro. Like, all of us are concerned. You need to chill out. You need to slow your roll. And Ian's like, I'm having a get together, like pull up on me, it'll be a boys' night. And he's like, don't bring your fucking girlfriend. I don't want her there. And so he's like, it shouldn't be a problem. I said, bitch, his life is in danger. Bear was so fucking clueless. I was like, he just doesn't have any life experience and he don't know how to read the room. And again, his intuition or his discernment, it's not in the room with us, okay? So then Nikki, okay, so he gets home after he drops Ian off. He gets home and he goes in the house. And I loved the way that this was filmed. It like frames, it's like a door frame and like into another room, but it's shot so beautifully. And then Nikki is in the bathroom taking a shower because after he found her with all that shit covered, she's taking a shower. She's like, I'll clean this up. It's like she's a Stepford housewife, but then she switches to something more sinister. It's just very creepy, the on off. It's like a light switch, you know? So we hear her in there cleaning and he's like, babe, I'm going to go out. I'm going to hang out with Ian. And you just hear, boom, like it's like she goes psycho. She goes from 0 to 100 real quick, like the Drake song. But it was just, the sound design is so good when she like fucking spazzes out. And the score was pretty good too. And she's like, I'm gonna come. And he's like, no, but no, like, I want you there. Like, it's like he caters and he simps to her instead of, again, having that boundary and being like, no, I'm hanging out with my boys. You can find something else to do, because I think it's good to have your individual friends, your individual social calendar, your individual interests. Like, I love horror movies. My husband does not. I was like, I was like kind of just streaming them at home. And now I'm like, I'm going to get back into them. I'm going to go to the theater and that's going to be my thing. So before, I think before COVID and even after, I used to go out to eat. I used to go out for drinks and stuff with my friends. And that was my alone time. And my husband knew that and he respected that. And then he would game. Sometimes like a game would come out or a debut. He would be like, I'm going to be out of commission for 2 days. And he would take off work and he would just have the time of his life with all his friends and they'd be online at the same time. And I respect that. It's just like certain things should just be for you, because you still need to have like your individualistic expression and you need to like nurture yourself, but you also need to nurture the other person without taking away from them. And I don't think that either the two of them, they were just so intertwined. It was like kind of like it kind of made me think of that movie Together, where they like actually get stuck together. It's just like it was too much. Like there was no breathing room for him. And I think he was truly scared. And instead of like using the fear to propel him to get the fuck out of Dodge before it got worse, he just kept going. He enabled her. He empowered her to behave like that, I think. So she comes to the party and of course she fucking ruins it. So they're playing Jenga and Nikki gets up and she like basically recites this poem about Hansel and Gretel, or Hansel and Gretel. I don't know if I said that correctly. And it's like she's talking about their brother and sister fucking dick me. I was like, oh my God, like it was just so inappropriate and it was so borderline. That's what I love. This movie just pushes. Like Nikki is pushing that envelope, but the director is pushing that envelope as well, like making the viewer just so uncomfortable. So Bear draws a block, and I think the blocks have different dares or different like activities for the person to do. So he draws a block and it says kiss the person to the left, and it's fucking Sarah. I said, bitch, Nikki finna kill Sarah. She finna kill this bitch in front of everybody. So she's sitting in a chair. Nikki gets up. She gets over. She moves behind Sarah and she moves. And you just hear, she's dragging the fucking chair with Sarah in it. And she goes and she's like, I was like, this bitch is psycho. So then I think it was at the party, she grabs a bottle and she just starts stabbing herself with it in front of everybody. And everybody's just like, holy fuck, are you okay? And then he has to go home with her because she didn't ruin the party. But even before that, there's a scene like where they first sit down on the couch and she's just like, it was just so fucking creepy. I was like, oh my God. Like it's like she didn't have any social cues, but I don't think that was Nikki. I think it was something else in her body. I think it was the obsession making her into somebody she didn't recognize, somebody she didn't consent to be, and somebody she didn't want to be. And he took away her autonomy, I think was another bodily autonomy, I think is a huge theme in this movie. Sorry, I'm talking way too damn much. Whew, I got a couple more paragraphs, child. So then, what was I gonna say? So they get home and Bear and her get into bed and she's like, I'm gonna unalive myself if you don't, you know. And then it's weird. So Sarah's texting Bear while Nikki and Bear are sleeping in bed. And I was like, bitch, don't pick up that phone because you know this bitch gonna be awake. But she was surprisingly asleep. And she's like, I need to meet with you. Can we meet in the park? And he's like, no, I can't. She's like, all right, well, I'm coming to your house. And that prompts him to get up. And I was like, you better not fucking get up. I said, she gonna tear your ass up. So then he gets up, and as he's getting ready to walk out the room, she's like, Bear. And it's weird because she'll have like this baby voice. She'll go from like baby, like infant, to like, I'll stop, honey. I'll be good. Like, she's very Stepford Wife-ish. Then it's like baby. Then it's like, it's like a triangle. Like, it's like a trapezoid. Like, she just goes from all these different personalities that are not her. It's like she's trying to cater to him, but there's nothing to cater to because he's never going to be happy with her. Not in the way that if they were actually organically together. So hold on one second. So Nikki is asleep, but she's like sleep talking, but she's like coherent enough. And she's like, there's another entity in my body. Can you please kill me? I'm the real Nikki. And I'm like, is she playing games or what? But Bear's like, I'm not gonna do that. So then Bear goes and joins Sarah in her car. And she's like, I didn't want to tell you this. Ian asked me not to tell you, but actually Nikki and Ian have been hooking up. And I think that's why he didn't want Bear to approach her, because he already had been dealing with her. And I thought that was trifling, that he would try to pump him up to go approach her to date her when he's been sleeping with her behind her back, knowing that's his dream girl. And I think they both violated, again, boundaries. They violated boundaries because everybody knew that he was in love with that girl. Like, whether he said it or not, everybody knew. He just didn't have the cojones to step up and tell her. So then she's kind of like, you know, Bear, I'm kind of feeling you. And in the meantime, Sarah's been waiting to hear back about school because she wants to go to school, I think, to be a tattoo artist, I think it was. She doesn't really want to work at her dad's music store. I don't think she wants to take it over. It's not her thing. And this is like her last chance before she's like, okay, I'm just going to settle, or I'm just going to do the tattoo artist thing. And the whole time they're in the car talking, bro, this scene fucked me up. I feel like I might see this when I go to bed tonight. This is why I love horror, because it fucking psychs you out and you're like, God damn, bitch, I can't sleep. I gotta sleep with the lights on this motherfucker or the TV. Like, last night I was sleeping and I saw the fucking bunny man from Hokum, and I just was like, bitch, why are you thinking about this right now? But I was like, just stay on the image. I was like, all right, I'm gonna think about it for a minute, and then sister, you gotta go back to sleep. So the whole time I'm like, where's Nikki? I was like, Nikki's gonna pop the fuck up and she's gonna shut this whole shit down. One, she hates the fact that him and Sarah are close. Two, she sees Sarah as a threat. Three, she wants him all to herself. So I was like, I know Nikki finna come in here and fuck this shit up. The way the scene happened, bro, the whole, like, I literally was like, Jesus, in the theater. Like, I was so loud because I was like, it was so raw and just guttural, and like, you were like, this bitch took it too far. She took it to sub Sahara hell, okay? So they're talking. Sarah has the letter for the college that she wants to go into. I think it's like Lawrence College or something like, or Luther College, excuse me, something like that. And she's got the letter, the envelope in the letter. She hasn't opened it. She's like, I wanted to open it together. And there's a little bit of flirtation or attraction or chemistry there. And they're giving, you know, the little starry eyes or whatever, the little heart emoji eyes. And he's getting ready to open it, and they're talking. And all of a sudden you just see fucking Nikki, booking it. She fucking smashes the glass of the driver's side, which is where Sarah's sitting, and she grabs her head. She has a brick on the steering wheel and just bah, 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 bah. I was like, but the fucking mechanics of it and the aesthetic of it was disturbing. And then they fucking pan to it after she was done, and Bear's just getting fucking splattered with blood. It was crazy. And then Nikki's like, I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry you had to see that. It was so it was like she was like a Barbie doll that had like an evil string attached to it. It was like Annabelle, but on steroids. I was like, oh my God. And then she's like, you're going to have to help me hide the body. I said, bitch, her dad going to be looking for her. Everybody going to be looking for her. It was nuts. But I actually love that scene. I think that's the scene my brother was talking about. He was like, there's a scene I keep thinking about. I was like, it's probably that one. I mean, and then Nikki's like, this is what you wished for. And I'm like, bitch, but not all of this. So then Bear panicked, and he still got blood and shit all over his face. He goes back to the Mystic store where he bought the original One Wish. He doesn't see it on the shelves. He's like freaking the fuck out, and he's asking the store clerk. Is a different person from the girl store clerk that he was with. Is a guy now. And the guy's like, hey man, we got some more, but every person only has one wish, which I think is so limiting. And he's like, please help me undo this. I've done the worst thing. And he's like, I made her obsessed with me. And he's like, well, that's not that bad. And it's like, but if you saw the shit that was happening, you would think it was bad. So then he buys another one and he's like, all right, I can get someone else to make a wish to help me out of the situation. So then he goes to Ian's house and he tries to explain it to him. And Ian's like, bitch, I don't fucking care. So then he actually snaps the one wish wheel and wishes for $1 billion. And then the ceiling starts raining fucking money. I thought that part was a little bit silly, but I thought it was interesting how he didn't help Bear. He helped himself. So a lot of people in this movie are very selfish. They're moving for self, which all of us are on different levels, right? But Bear is so pissed because he's like, bitch, you could have helped me get the fuck out of Dodge. So then Bear goes home with another one wish willow, because there was like 3 or 4 in the store left. So I think he just bought all of them up. And he's like, Nikki, I need you to reverse this wish. She's got on like a black dress. She's got like tattoos. She's got blood on her. Her fucking head is open, an open wound. The camera pans over to like his living room, dining room area, I think it was. And Sarah's like dead body is there, but it's like naked. You see her fucking face smashed in. I mean, you know what? I'm reading it now. It says Nikki is wearing Sarah's clothing. So it's like she was becoming Sarah so that she was more desirable or likable. That's another thing, desirability. I think that's another thing. I think Nikki did not desire Bear the way that he desired her. And I think it was pretty clear. I thought it was interesting. She asked him if he liked her, but I think she was just going to hold space for that, but she wasn't going to act on it. And I think that if you have to turn yourself into somebody else, I think that that's not really good and you're not really going to get very far, and then you're going to find yourself into a hole and then you might not be able to dig yourself out. So yeah, I didn't peep that she was wearing her clothes. I didn't get that. So then Nikki is like, you know, I'm gonna cause myself harm, and she has a gun basically to herself and is like, I'm about to unalive myself. So then Ian comes through the door and he's like, bitch, I'm rich. I'm Rick James out this motherfucker. And then Nikki fucking shoots him in the head. So Bear calms himself down. He's like, babe, let's just go take a shower. Let's just like chill. Let's vibe out. He locks himself in the bathroom with the gun. He tries to unalive himself with the gun and he can't. It was sad. He actually put the gun in his mouth and was like holding his head. Then he's like putting it under his chin. He's trying to figure out how to do it, but I think it was like too painful for him. Again, he doesn't have any oomph. Like, I'm just like, if you're gonna do it, motherfucker. Like, as my mom would say, do it quietly. That used to crack me up. I remember I had an ex-boyfriend who used to threaten unaliving himself so that I would stay with him, which I was like, that's so crazy to me. And my mom was like, you better tell that bitch to do it quietly. Which is not funny that he struggled with his mental health, but I was like, bro, you're just using that as a bargaining chip to get me back. And I was like, that's creepy as fuck. So then he finds the oxycodone, which I think was foreshadowing that we see it in the beginning of the movie. And I think the cat is symbolic of Nikki and her dying at the end, which I kind of just gave you the part of the end. But so he takes the oxycodone instead, and he then wakes up and he's like trying to make himself vomit the oxy. And Nikki, we hear the noise associated with the one wish willow. So I'm like, oh shit, she used it on him. Because there's always the question of, why don't you love me as much as I love you? And something my mom always used to tell me before I got married, even before I like really started settling down in relationships and stuff, was that she said the man should always love the woman more than the woman loves him. And I actually kind of agree with that, which is bad, because I feel like if you don't, there's going to be an imbalance and it's always going to be one pining after the other. But the man kind of sets the tone in the relationship, which is bad, because I know that's kind of ass back or what I just said, but I do believe that. Like, I do think that works, because I think when the man thinks he's the prize, that's kind of an issue. But anyway, that probably is going to rub some people the wrong way, but that's just my 2 cents. So then we don't know what her wish is though. Oh, actually, I think now it's making sense. When he comes out the bathroom, yes, he's like all smitten. He's like, we're going to be together. They're like kissing. He's holding her. He's looking her in the eye. He's like, we're just going to make this work. They literally both are covered in fucking blood, drenched. And then he actually still ODs and he actually dies. I watched a review, it's this like cute Australian redhead. I don't know her name. I just started watching her content. She does a lot of horror reviews, and she'll like film herself driving to the cinema when she comes out. It's like really cute. She does really, really good reviews. But she said it was like Romeo and Juliet. And I was like, oh, that's kind of fire. And I was like, that's actually kind of true. And I think I read an interview of Curry Barker who said he was kind of inspired by that, or something similar to that effect. So then Nikki is about to unalive herself, but then she actually wakes up from like this trance of being obsessed, and then she just starts fucking wailing. Like it's just guttural. It just comes from way down in the bottom of her. And she's like, oh my God, like what the fuck happened? She wasn't even really herself. I was just like, oh my God, what a thing. And like all her friends are dead. And it's like, how are you going to explain this to the police? How are you going to move on with your life? How are you not going to be in jail for the rest of your life? I was like, how do you even move on? Like, is there even anything worth living for at this point? But yeah, that's like the whole movie. I actually liked Holcomb better, as I said in the beginning of my video. There was just something a little bit more intriguing and mysterious to me as Adam Scott's character was like uncovering like the lore and like the entity and like how to get out of this hotel, because I think he was trapped by his own grief and his own guilt. I think I wanted more characterization from Bear. I think the characterization was pretty good. I don't think this is like outright horror. It's kind of more, I don't even want to say it sneaks up on you, but it's placed very well. I think the camera work was pretty good. I think for a directorial debut, this is pretty good. I wasn't actually scared when I watched this. I was more creeped out. Like I said, I was more unsettled. It was just like, but I think, as I said in, I think my reaction video, I think I did like a 2 or 3 minute reaction video that I'm gonna post later, that Ian Tucson, the director of Undertone, you guys need to watch that one too. He said that the thing about horror is like, he asked himself like, what worked for The Exorcist? And he was like, you take something safe, like a child in The Exorcist, and you make it unsafe, you make it dangerous. And I think that Curry Barker does a great job in this film. I think I wanted more, I don't know what I wanted more of. There was a couple of scenes where I feel like there was too much dialogue and there was too much, sometimes the pacing felt a little slower. It felt like the first 45 minutes felt like it was just seeing the interiority of their lives. But I wanted, I don't know, maybe it was showing like pre-obsession then post-obsession. Maybe it was supposed to be split like that. I think it was missing something for me. Like I think I wanted more scare. I think I wanted more terror, I think. And I didn't really necessarily love Ian's character. Bear was just, he was unbearable. Actually, I don't want to say he was unbearable. He was just, you almost felt bad for him, but then you realize he's just as wrong as she is, but she's not really wrong on her own. It's like she's wrong through his actions, through his behavior. I kind of felt like Nikki was almost like a puppet, like he was pulling the strings on her emotions, on her heart. And I think that's ultimately very heartbreaking, because you should be able to love freely without those constrictions or restrictions. I don't know. I don't know. I think I expected more horror. I don't know how to explain it. I just think Holcomb was a little bit more terrifying in the horror aspect, but it could be horrifying that somebody would take it to those lengths in a relationship, that somebody doesn't know the word no, that somebody doesn't know how to stop, when to stop, what to stop, because sometimes you can communicate those things and they just keep ramping up and ramping up. And that is actually terrifying, especially in the modern dating space. I've said this before, I probably wouldn't date if I wasn't married, to be honest with you. There's a lot of people, unwell people. There's a lot of people cloaking and pretending to be people that they're not, which I think is the case with Nikki's character and even Bear. I don't know. I don't think I expected anything. That's the thing. I'm trying to think. I think what worked for me was, again, the lengths that she went to. I think it was just like, she was like a lamb. She was willing to sacrifice herself. She was pretty much willing to put herself on the altar and set herself on fire. And I was like, we've all been there, I feel like, for somebody, maybe not literally, but mentally and emotionally. And maybe even physically, hopefully not. But I don't know. I just, for some reason, Holcomb, even though it wasn't perfect, I liked that better. There was a darkness to it. There was a mystery to it. There was a heavier tone. I think I couldn't quite get the tone or the mood of this movie. I didn't fully understand the director's message. And I think I wanted more with the One Wish Willow, and just, I guess he did tell us like the rules of it and how it worked. I think I wanted more score in there as well, but maybe he made it subtle on purpose. That could have been a creative choice. I'm gonna keep an eye out for Curry Barker and see what else he's got in store. Overall, I enjoyed the film. I probably wouldn't watch it again. If I did, I'd probably wait till streaming. But I say give it a watch. It's very different. I think that, again, the reason why I love horror is because they take creative swings. They take creative risks that I don't really see in a lot of other genres. Not to say other genres don't take risks, but horror is like, you can really play with horror. But I think Indy Navarrete, she did such a great job. I couldn't imagine crying on command like that. it must have been exhausting for her emotionally to play this character. Like, I was like, you probably have to like shake that or out or like exercise it out, like, because it probably stayed with her and stayed in her body. She gave such a guttural, like, raw performance, and I really appreciated it. I liked Bear's like cluelessness and just like his naivete, but then like not knowing how to handle conflict. I actually told my husband yesterday, I said, a lot of people don't know how to resolve conflict. And I was like, that can be the difference between life or death, literally. Because I was talking about this docuseries. I've been watching Worst Ex Ever on Netflix, and I was like, some of these people do not know how to communicate. They do not know how to resolve conflict, and they use their charm to deceive. And I think in a way, Bear did that. Maybe not his charm, but he used something otherworldly or supernatural to get his way. And to me, that's an invitation for a disaster, literally a recipe for disaster. I don't know what didn't I don't know. I wasn't like in love with it. I think everyone was like, oh my God, it's 10 out of 10. And I was like, I didn't really get that. But again, I'm weird. I have different opinions than other people, and I'll stand on those. But I'm really, really, really excited for Backrooms. As I said earlier, that's the horror movie I've been waiting for months. I've literally been looking at the calendar like, okay, it come out in 2 weeks. Okay, it come out in 2 days. Okay, it come out when? Like, I'm so excited to see what they do. I love seeing all these like comedians and like artists of different mediums come out and like transition to the horror space. I think there is a connection or a connecting thread between comedy and horror. I think there's trauma and there's grief in comedy. But I'm proud of Curry. I know he's worked so hard. I'm proud of the cast. I'm proud of the creative team. It was different. It was not what I watch a lot of horror, and I think I expect certain things, but I think horror is good because it expect the unexpected, and really don't expect anything, which is kind of ass backwards. But I really am glad I got out the house. I was glad to see that there was a lot of people supporting this movie. I hope Backrooms is fucking packed from front to back. I'm really excited. And I hope you guys like this review. I hope you guys see the movie. If you don't, I don't blame you, because horror is not for everyone. But I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.